Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Cosmonarchy cast. This is a tournament match, the opener of Tribunal of Terror, our second Tribunal event here, to qualify one player into Acropolis 4's battlement stage. Skipping out on the gauntlet, we've got some competitors that really want that little privilege. And I will go ahead and remind you guys that, as you can see, there's a little donation goal in the far right there. We are accepting tips. If you go to Pronogo or streamlabs.com/Pronogo, you can donate to show matches. And we are currently raising money for our next show match. It's going to be a good one between Thermal and Indie, Starcraft 2 influencers. Definitely support the action, the initiative, if you like. This is not a live broadcast. This is just a VOD. But I figured I'd leave that little goal up there anyway. Why not? Why not? Maybe I'll turn it off later. Who knows? However, we will have ArbuzBudesh taking on Grass Eater. And Frosted Forest is our first map. Acid Test up next, picked by Grass, who is the lower seed, as you can tell, in the overlay there in the bottom left. And this is our second opener. Our first opener is actually going to be played tomorrow on the recording date. So it'll be Wednesday, the 1st of October, when Doglived takes on Han Mono. That'll be an interesting matchup. And we also have our third opener, which has already been played. It is Cannoli versus Sausage. So this is chronologically the first game to be played in our tournament. We've got some Zetricors heading their way across the map. Now, pool openers are pretty interesting here because, well, a lot of players have been going for that den instead. Ziki kind of paving the way in that respect. But we do have a bunch of Zetricors coming for Arbuz, and it should be enough in time to defend against this more aggressive pool timing, which, by the way, Grass Eater only has 5 workers. So it doesn't really seem like something that he's going to be in a good spot to be in. But he will punish. He is going to go after that Larvosk immediately, and that will set back a little bit on the side of Arbuz. He's letting his Zets try to clean it up, and he will do so. There's a little bit of a messy fight there, but he doesn't lose any workers, and he has enough Vespene to immediately go back into Larvosk production here. One of the things that I'm a little bit curious about is whether Grass Eater is going to pivot off to build up the Kagran, right, and turn another Larvosk, so to speak. Get a little bit more larva production. Be interesting to see over time. But definitely a reasonable hold. I mean, Grass Eater tried to do something a little bit cheesy. You can say that he got some value there, but look, he still only has 5 Droleth. This is pretty poor for his economy. And he is making that second Larvosk, so as soon as he gets enough money to get more workers, maybe he can do something. Seeing only 6 Quas and another morphing Larvosk, we'll see whether Arbuz feels like doing anything in particular. I think expanding here is just fine. By the way, it is not a fraud here. Arbuz is indeed playing Zerg now. That is what he likes to do. He has switched off from Protoss for the time being. We'll see if he ever decides to make a return later. And these matches were technically played on a pre-release version of the game, but that same essential version was pushed to release later the same night that these guys did this Duke out. So all future games will be on release. We are testing some more balance adjustments on pre-release now, so it'll be a little bit of a different story going forward. Frosted Forest is a map that we saw pretty frequently when it came to the last Tribunal. The map pool has not changed. Might change for our next Tribunal because there will be a bit of a month off. There's not going to be a Tribunal starting in October. This one will finish in October, of course, but there's not going to be a one that starts in October. So we will have a November Tribunal instead. And then, ideally, a SCOZY will be available for the subsequent Tribunals. It's going to be very exciting to get the 4th race up and running by then. So I look forward to seeing you guys for that. Zetricor is now moving across the map yet again. Grass Eater just wants to figure out what's happening. He's on one base. He's making a shroud. I'd say you have to look at this and think to yourself, yeah, Arbuz is very, very well equipped to take this in a very prolonged affair. The Zets are going to maybe see if they can spot extra bases or even, indeed, this little Avaleth move out here. And it should be possible, like, if Grass Eater was a bit slower on the draw, if Arbuz was a bit faster on the draw, he could obviously have, avoided that Zeth. It's on a follow order now, which is hilarious. Double Circuit in the natural. Not great spread for, like, a run-by could easily happen still, but if the Quas are here, it's unlikely. Macro Hatch, I love it. Save your Vespene for other things. And the Zorkish Shroud has popped for Sir Grass. He's put it down, and so it's going to emerge in a moment here. Worker count is slowly recovering. He's within 6. Arbuz has chosen a passive angle, and he's going for that ski back after making the den. He actually doesn't have any Hydrith units just yet. 3 Zoryus, 2 Lakes. The drop is good, and seemingly a little bit unexpected from Grass Eater, because, you know, like, why would you drop me when you know, when I scouted your Ovaleth? Surely I should know. He's going to end up losing 2 workers to that attack, and taking a little bit of aggression out on his Hatrosk for good measure. And that will bring our joy from the drop to an end. But a little bit of economic disruption never hurt nobody, except for the one who's being disrupted. Hatrosk finishes up. We might see the extension of the K-Grid. No, it's another hatch instead. I like that. Arbuz has a lot of minerals. And I do feel like if you have like 2 base saturation, it's really quite possible to go for expansions, but also just to build a lot of macro hatches and not worry too much about harvesting as much Vespene. You know, you see no ridge cap, no ridge mining at all. So both natural and the main, totally dry there. And Arbuz is just building up enough Vespene to turn a lot of Hydras into Bactylisks. The Zoryus are arriving on the front gates. There is an Ovaleth here at home. And so the Hatrosk's going to be the target initially, but the Lakes, they shouldn't be allowed to get completely away with murder. At least that's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like we should be in a terrible position here for Arbuz. Adds another macro hatch, adds another K-Grin. He's going to add more static defense here shortly, I believe. I'm thinking about what he wants to do. He's got a lot of money in the bank still. No Bactyls coming. Not yet. Grass Eater has finished his own Hatrosk. The Ovaleth is kind of guarding over here in the main. Hey, Biddy Bee, those are the wrong tiles in the top up there. That doesn't even give you high ground. I can't believe it. This map has some kind of wonky looking tiles anyway, but that doesn't surprise me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, that being said, the Khaz'it is on the way here. That's going to change things up a little bit. Actually, you know, this might be there might be neutral spider mines placed here in the map, which equates to shutting it down and making it undroppable. And so it might not matter that that's not giving you the cliff advantage that you would ideally want, or ideally have. I don't know what that Quasilus did to Grass Eater's family, but the Lakes are going to go ahead and send their spines in a very nice little line there. Arbuz is going to be able to clean up, however. And that was a big investment from Grass Eater. He's going to have to double back on the defense. He's got a lot of Droleth. Still not nearly as many as Arbuz. So he sets up some static defense. It's going to be some time before Arbuz moves across the map with the Bactyls. It feels like right about now it's a little bit hard for Grass Eater to do much of anything besides maybe delay the third base here. Reinforcements can come in, and yeah, they do. So there's the third base. I'm going to go down. Maybe while Arbuz's attention is split and his bank is still full, Grass Eater might be able to take a favorable trade. He tries to dive forward with the Zetricors, accepting plenty of Bactylis bounces in the process, but it's only Quaz while we wait for some more meaningful units to take center stage. Iziricors in droves heading out now. A lot of Hydras on the side of Grass Eater. He is adding his own Iziricor flock, but Arbuz is going to dwarf him in the number. And again, this is just down to the fact that he's had a superior economy, faster third base timing, faster natural timing. Doesn't really feel too winnable here for Grass Eater, taking that early deficit. Grass is the underdog in this matchup, but he has played a lot of ZVZ in his time. Sort of like a mini cannoli in that respect. We'll see if maybe he can do something fancy. Right about now, his army is very split, and this looks like it'll be the pile driver to send him down. You know, in that scene in Shrek when the woman yells, "The chair, give him the chair." That's what Arbuz is about to do to poor Grass Eater. The Ovaleth here for detection as well. The third base not likely to survive or to even go up. Hydra's trying to escape, but that is a poor idea for sure. A bunch of them just going down courtesy of the Bactyls. Droleth tries to come back up and gets clocked as well. And we could even see a fourth base here from Arbuz, but he's making 11 skiths. I think he knows that he's just waiting for his opponent to type the magic 2 letters there, the GG. The Ovaleth that was over here actually escapes all the way out. a good saturation level, I guess. Oh, maybe not even. He's got baseline saturation over here, but no ridge caps, no ridge mining at all here in Grass Eater's main. For some reason, I've noticed that Grass Eater seems to do that, and maybe particularly on this map as well. The swamp was made, so we're going to see some Tetzora cores. There was an attempt at taking a 4th base at 12 o'clock, but that will be stymied just a little bit here. Circuit is going to finish, so that poor guy ain't going to get much done. And here comes the attack on the other side. Trying to break out with a lot of Izira cores. It might actually work out a little bit better. Some of those units seem like they might have been on a follow order. Weren't really joining in the fight. So Grass Eater might be able to break the containment, but behind this we've got those Apex strains coming. And remember, the Skith Flock is going to be walking in basically unchallenged. No anti-air defenses whatsoever. And when this happens to you as Grass Eater, you're going to be into a desperate gambit to see if you can overwhelm the enemy position with your ground army. You shouldn't even bother trying to go back and defend this right now, it feels like. Maybe your Hydras can try to do it. You can try to make some static defense, but this kind of triggers the all-in, A move into your enemy base. And there is not even close to enough units here for Grass Eater to break the lines of the ArbuzBudesh. It turns out the watermelon was given, regardless of the answer to the question. And I will not explain that reference. If you don't know ArbuzBudesh, you don't know. Another denial onto the 3rd base. No mining happening at the main. 22 workers, literally triple. That is what Arbuz has. And more on the way. Let's get their cores flocking over. And they can just kind of join up with the rest of the force and do a little bit more damage if they so desire. Or maybe they'll come in and raid the natural. While the main army engages with the rank and file of Grass Eater's defense here in the choke. We can pretty much see the writing on the wall here. And here come the Skiths to do a little bit more. The Sprates were not made in time. The Hydras and the Bacthylisks dwarf the army of Grass Eater, and Arbuz is about to cruise in to a victory for Game 1. Grass Eater calls the GG. And he will be taken out to pasture. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 2 on Acid Test. ArbuzBudesh, our forest green Zerg in the top right. And Grass Eater in the bottom right is our... Goldenrod? Goldenrod Zerg. There it is. Both players getting that Vespene for the Larvosk opener, most likely. We'll see if they decide to blink on any of the build orders, the build openers. It's one of those things that I wonder about when it comes to ZVZ in particular, is are people still going pool first all the time? Well, Grass Eater is going to start Hydrith. It looks like he's actually going to be doing the Izira core spam, the hamster build, as it's known. Hamster loves the mineral boosting after, he's straight into mineral saturation. For the first little bit of building your Hydrith Den. Grass Eater's been playing very cheesy, hasn't he? It's a pool and a very safe-looking Larvosk positioning for Arbuz. He's going to stay on Vespene mining as well, so it's likely he wants a second Larvosk. This is pretty similar to his Frosted Forest build. Rush distance is comparable, a little bit shorter when it comes to a map like Acid Test than Frosted Forest. But it's comparable. It's close enough. Shouldn't make too much of a factor here. Let's see if Grass Eater has done his duty. I didn't see him do the larva trick, so I think he's going to be limited to just having the 3 Izira cores. He hasn't quite mastered that. There it is. It's a little bit late, right? But Hamster has that build dialed down to a T because he's done it so much. A lot of people tell him, stop doing that. It's not good. You can only do it versus bad players. I don't know. It's pretty good at this case. I mean, Izira cores are going to be able to defeat Zethra cores handily. And Grass Eater adding a Kagrin. He wants to grab his Larvosk after this. And it does feel like if it's only going to be the 4 pairs of Zeths, I don't think Arbuz is going to get much damage dealt. The Izira cores are leaving the base, and they'll kind of walk across the map. And, I mean, you can kind of fight Zeths with Droleths. Reinforcing units from Grass Eater will be able to have an outsized impact. Yeah, I don't think Arbuz can stand here and try to fight versus the Izira cores. And he can't really abandon his position entirely either. Like, he's going for this 1-base Zorkis timing, which is interesting. It's like a 12 Shroud timing. Reminds me of Jack Yelansky versus Protoss in last Acropolis. I still can't believe that our Art of Turtle was able to defeat Jack that one time in the throne room stage of that event. That was pretty sick. Circuit is halfway complete, but the Aziricores can mostly ignore it and just go after the workers. You can see the burrow to avoid pain is a real deal. Maybe the Aziricores can get deep enough in to try to do something about this. You can see him kind of cycling backwards. Meanwhile, a Circuit of his own is very out and exposed. That's not so good here for Grass Eater. Well, one of the Aziricores will finally pop. The other one a bit wounded in the back there, but he has killed the Larvosk at the very least. Problem is, he lost one back at home, and worker lead is still in favor of ArbuzBudesh. However, he is losing his quads. One more Aziricore hit away, or maybe a few, actually, as the regen starts to kick in. But this does feel like an easier walk-up to start doing damage and harassing. And you're going to need to force the workers back off again. Building the Larvosk, that's what he wants to do here. One Lekizalisk is going to be able to drive this back. 3 more Aziricores on the way. Man, Grass Eater could go down really quickly to an 0-2 start in the series, which maybe you would expect, but I wouldn't have expected the games to be so cheesy and non-standard. But I'm not complaining. Get to see what ZBZ looks like at the mid-level, I guess you could say. Arbuz not a... You know, he would have had a higher seed as Protoss, for example, in this tournament. Maybe supplanting Newt, but not hard to say. Trying to stand on top of that Lake is. He clears all the Zets at the very least, but the Lake is going to take a long time to die. And that's a wrap there. It basically has half HP. More once it regens. More workers have been made. Only 3 Aziricores remain for Grass Eater. One more. What? What? Why is he killing his Shroud? Does he not realize it's the Circuit that's blocking the mining? I don't know what's going on there. Maybe, I don't know why he was doing that. That must have been a mistake. Well, he's going to wait for his second Lakis to pop and cycle back. Yeah, he's having a time of it, that's for sure. The Circuit is blocking these guys from coming in from this like little corner here. Like technically the Shroud helps with that, but you would kill the Circuit, not the Shroud. You wouldn't want that to be the problem. So Arbuz is struggling here in this particular position, but the Lyralisks or the Aziricores rather are going to go ahead and burrow. The Lekizalisks are maybe going to be a bit exploratory. There's the expansion faster for Grass Eater. No. Don't kill the Shroud. Arbuz needs that. It's important. I can't believe he's actually going to take out his heavy-duty tech node. I hope that, like, they still path weirdly around the Circuit after that, and he's like, oh, it was the other thing. Silly. Larvosk on the way, number 2 for Grass Eater. His Hatcherosk is down. Expansion coming for Arbuz in the meanwhile. Will he queue up any more units before he fully pops it, I wonder? Well, the answer is no. Well, I guess they do, yeah, they do end up going down around it. It's still not great. They still have to path around a little bit because of the angle there. And then it makes a den. Okay, it would take some serious mental fortitude to rebuild the Shroud after having to kill it. Or mistakenly believing that you have to kill it, but, you know, Arbuz doesn't know the mistakenly part of it. Yeah, I think if there's a choice between killing a tech node and killing the defensive structure, you kill the defensive structure. It's way less powerful. Going to be a 6 quads drop earmarked for Grass Eater's base. Arbuz once again wants to get up to his old tricks. This is where, like, normally you'd pan over to the Zeki base and see, like, 8 quads patrolling over here and just laughing at you. But Grass Eater not known for that. Going to be that ski-back scab and macro hatch as well. It feels like Grass Eater might be learning a little bit from what Arbuz did in game 1. We got Zets, we got Aziricores. And here comes the drop. Let's see if Grass Eater has much of anything that can deal with that. He's making Aziricores in response to seeing this, but he's not evacuating his workers. Maybe he didn't even see it at all. Now he's going to need to pull those workers and try to do a little bit of fighting, do a little bit of drilling. We were at 31 workers when this all started, and now it's going to be a lot less than that. Pulls his army all the way back. There's nothing in the Ava left, so that's misdirection. Damn, he ended up losing 9 workers. That's pretty bad. Oh, and the Larvosk, too. Insult to injury. Damn. Grass Eater really just got bopped. Now, the ski back was scouted, but you're expecting it to be Bactylisks. Do we see any anti-air come out anytime soon? That's the question. A Khaz'trith here to hold the natural. I mean, Arbuz's defense is buttoned up and locked down. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to control the skies at all. He's only got quas. Like, even if the skits come here, I don't think, like, Khaz'trith enhanced quas are going to be enough to deal with this. That being said, it's going to be really hard for the ground army of Grass Eater to do anything against all the Lakes. Does he have an Ovaleth for detection? He does not. It's just the 4 skits. Oh, he does. He has one over here. So I guess there is that, but there's no drop, nothing in it. 4 skits isn't enough to comfortably kill a lot of workers very quickly, but he has 4 more on the way. 5 more, actually, queuing up every little bit he's got. Turning that 4 in Larvosk into a Circuith. All right, the first 4 skits kind of give the game away early. And he's going to go ahead and target some of the units. But Hydras are hatching, so this isn't as good as it could have been. A couple of workers are going to go down here, but Grass Eater still has a deficit that he's got to work his way out of. And now he's going to try to charge the front, but look at all the Lakes. Yeah, there's no hope. You didn't even bring your Ovaleth. Not that you had anything that could shoot back versus the Lakes to begin with. He actually killed one just with the bounces. The Zorius gets away with a little bit of health, which is pretty criminal. We don't have that many more Hydras. Oh, I guess 7 more Hydras are spawning, but they're kind of in different positions, right? 8 Skiths, 3 more on the way. I mean, you can fight Hydras with Skiths. They're not the best choice versus them. And Bactylisks aren't super great if you can get on top of them and stay there, but the Khaz'trith will definitely help with that as well, if that's where the Bactylisks engage from. The Ovaleth will come forward to see what it can spot. And the Skiths might discover the 11 o'clock here. Maybe shut it down, force a cancel at the last second. No, it doesn't look like it. They want to dive for the workers instead. We were at 34 workers just a second ago, but Arbuz has now fallen below Grass Eater. Makes a couple more workers. Izira cores and Skither cores galore. Charging the front. Those Bactylisks are going to get a lot of value here. You got to watch out. They have the Khaz'trith bonus. They can target up to 2 more enemies, making them pretty good even against armored targets like Skiths. But Arbuz does feel like he's playing at a, Knife's Edge is our next map. He does feel like he's playing on a Knife's Edge a little bit. Scouts the timing of the third base being slower than his own. Got another attempt at an attack. The Izira cores are trying to break through onto the Bactylisks, which really, the big problem there is actually the Skiths doing a little bit of spread damage alongside the bounces. Skith Izira core, who would have known that they would have been such a competitive composition? We got more units coming in, but it doesn't look like Grass Eater wants to strike. He's making more Skiths where that came from. And the Izira cores are going to dive forward against these low HP Hydras and force them back a little bit. Maybe discover the third base with no static defense at it in the process. Now, Izira cores are really bad at dealing with just about anything that's armored, anything that has high HP, right? Oh, don't fight this with Zethra cores, Arbuz. Conversely, when they're up against things like even Hydras, if they can actually get to them, obviously Zeths, they're pretty good. They're pretty decent. But those extra Skits that just spawned, and we've got more Izira cores where that came from, Grass Eater is still in a position to be pretty deadly, pretty competitive. Oh, are these units on a follow order? Yeah, of course they are. Well, when the units that they were on a follow order for die, I guess they go back to idle, so there is that. But Arbuz just kind of misclicking. When you see that green target, it means like a movement, whereas red means aggressive. And when I was targeting an allied unit, that's a follow order for sure. I don't know, man. Arbuz might be hemorrhaging a few too many units. At least he has a Spraith over here at his natural. It's not GG for him just yet. But he is going to end up losing his investment over here on the third, I feel like. Surely Grass Eater will figure it out. He's going to end up losing some action over here as he's adding some static defense to shoo away the Ovaleth, but he ends up losing a lot of HP on some Skiths and a full Skith in the process. This is one of those cases where it doesn't even really feel like he needs to worry about using his Izira cores, but he just wants to crush through faster, so he is going to. And, there's only 6 Hydras here on the defense. We got 8 more in production. Arbuz making 3 Bactylisks. And reinforcing Izira cores come in and clothesline all the Hydras. Yeah, Arbuz has lost a lot of leverage here. And this third base will be going down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. 4 Hydras trying to shoo away the Bacts, or the Skiths, rather. They're going to get heckled. along the way. You could tell that maybe Arbuz wants to try to disrupt this position. A circuit is being started. We have an Agrolith here to add more value to the mix. Not the most efficient way of killing this, but that's all right. Aziricors are very slow going on it. And yeah, you can tell that the skits are going to be all right versus these Hydras. There's only 4 of them anyway. So again, bleeding out a lot of units, hemorrhaging a lot of units, and now Grass Eater has a decided macro advantage. He's actually going to take this game. I really wasn't sure how the opening would go after the Aziricor cheese. It didn't get Grass Eater into a definitive position, but I suppose it was all right at the end of the day. It was playable. It was kind of even, I guess you could say. And Arbuz has not been able to do much. I guess it was definitely ahead after he had to kill his own Shroud. That definitely added some insult to injury. He's probably wondering, why doesn't he make more Lakes and Zorius? Well, it turns out he can't. He made sure of that. Skither is coming out for Arbuz now, try to control the skies with some of his own. He's got a pretty scary ground army that he's been allowed to build up, but presumably Grass Eater has more economy and more power behind it. His Bactal count is not as good as Arbuz's just yet, but comparable enough. The Zethicors obviously will get trounced by both Aziricor and Bactal. Skits are mostly just here to soak up some bounce damage. Maybe get in the face of the Bactals. It's a valid choice for them. They're actually flocking over to the far left side here. Not a great initial position for Grass Eater to be taking his fight. He's going to clump up his whole army. Again, only 4 skits for Arbuz. That's all he wanted to invest in to try to get some anti-air. They do deal splash. Taking 2 o'clock as his redo on the 3rd. Bottom left is going to be taken by the Agrolith, it looks like. Grass Eater, one of the few Zergs that uses that. Now the slightly delayed attack move is going to help mulch all of the Zethicors. Here come the skits, try to occupy the DPS of that backline. Meanwhile, Arbuz trying to use his own skits in the same way. Is he actually going to be able to kill any of these Bactals? It doesn't quite look like it, but it's still enough to break the position. And just like that, Grass Eater might have lost a lot of his oomph there. Better engagement, better decision-making on the battle from Arbuz. Grass Eater comes in from reinforcements. He's got loads of Bactals that he's able to deal with those Hydras. Kind of out of sync with each other. Reinforcements are going to come in. It's mostly just Hydras. Aziricor is being made by Grass Eater. Bactal's being made by Arbuz. I'm not convinced that it's going to be enough for either player just yet. We need to see how this battle resolves, and the Bactalisks are just trouncing what Arbuz has. I'll tell you one thing. ZVZ and Cosmonarchy, damn sight different. Much more ground-based than Starcraft 1. A lot of Bactals here can be hunted down, but here come the Aziricors for that front line. Their multi-target's going to be okay versus the Hydras, and I think Arbuz is about ready to throw in the towel. He's got Zeths, he's got Aziricors coming, but I feel like he's clotheslined, man. He hasn't been able to bridge the gap. Maybe some of these units can kind of turn the tide. We've got reinforcements from Grass Eater as well. He can cycle back with the Bactalisks off to the left and occupy his opponent's mid-range. GG is called. Arbuz sees the writing on the wall. We had 15 Skithricors coming in the tank there as Grass Eater will post a dub. He will not go down to elimination points so easily. And it's nice to see a little bit of life from the guy. All right, lads, it is game 3. ArbuzBudesh has taken us to Knife's Edge, and we will be going for Potaa. Potaa up next, picked by Grass Eater. Arbuz is in the top left as our red Zerg. So used to calling him Protoss. Grass Eater in the 9 o'clock position, the mid-right. This is a funny color. Is this Japanese violet? No, it's redwood. I was going to say, Japanese violet is a little bit more, Japanese and violet. But redwood, that's not red. He's red. I am not red wood. All right, so Grass Eater is going to be thinking about what he wants to do next. Arbuz, very obviously aware that Grass Eater's playing a cheesy game, is going to go for a Hydrith opener. Now, this is Grass Eater's turn to go for Pool into Larvosk, and it seems like he's going to waste no time in doing so. I don't really know how this matchup resolves. I think the fact that it's a 3-spawn map will throw a wrench into the plans. I don't know. It's pretty interesting to imagine how you're going to try to navigate, like, building your Hydrith into Larvosk. This is the Zeki build. And then going for some kind of Aziricor-based push. Are you going to be able to get an advantage versus a Pool Larvosk that can get enough quads out. Now, this could still be an easy win for the Iliektoeatgrass opening, because if you think about it from the perspective of, well, they can, what a quads need? They need range versus the Iliektoeatgrass, so they have enough time to break down the defense. But this is a map where you start off on the low ground. So that's a very different story. You don't have a ramp to defend that gives you the cliff advantage. In fact, trying to defend it means that you have to go up on top of it so that you don't give up the cliff advantage. So, you know, it's a Potaa Dominator, for those unaware. It's definitely a different look at the end of the day. Oh, and Acid Test, our last map, was a port of Litmus, for anybody who was curious. Kagrant will be pushing things out. And it looks like Grass Eater is thinking about using that worker for something, but he should just use it for mining. Yeah, there we go. The Hydra is going to be used as the scout. It was not a massive Iliektoeatgrass push. So we're actually just fine here in the early game, and we should resolve into, you know, maybe at least 10 minutes minimum. So a lot can change in about 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes, so we'll see. Qua's going to shoo away that Hydra, but it scouts enough to see that there's no fast expansion. One of the things I really like and appreciate about the asymmetry of the races is that they all have different things that they can try to do to feint for some kind of more economic-based opening. But only Terran can just build it and then lift it off later and deny you scouting of it. That's the only race that can really do it if they're going to do a fast-paced expansion play. Ascozy will be able to just mass up a bunch of workers and take a, build a landlock somewhere, on an expansion super fast to try to make up for lost time, but that is going to be an opportunity cost of a sorts. Now, that was a really good movement from Grass Eater's leftover Zeth, going for an intercept course to decide, okay, about where are you going to be if you're moving directly to my base? And now he's, again, camping up at the top of the ramp. On an even-keeled situation here, only 2 Iliektoeatgrass. I think this is enough quads, especially with the Hydra going down so soon. And withdrawing down the ramp makes perfect sense here. You've got your opening pick, you just go back to safety. Hasn't even lost a single quads. It's beautiful. Now, he is making his Orchid Shroud. It will be some time before that's ready. Hydra just got rallied in. I don't know quite what that was about, and I don't even know if Arbuz knows. He's going to try to hold the top of the ramp, but that is not going to work out. Overcommittal, perhaps, to go for double circuit here. I would have canceled that second one, turned it into a Larvosk, maybe start attacking the one that was a circuit. It depends on how you want to go, but I respect the fact that Grass Eater just didn't want to get steamrolled in the early game. Iliektoeatgrass can be quite good versus pool units, after all. And we do have double Lakids from Grass Eater. It's triple Lakids. He's going to try to set up maybe a soft containment or so. I actually really like his unit movement here. It's unlikely that Arbuz will see this in action, and Grass Eater confirms no third base at that location, so he can just kind of sidestep the army, and he has static defense at home to kind of buttress him against a full-fledged assault. That being said, of course, he will lose a Larvosk to this attack unless Arbuz decides to cycle back. Hold on! He's lost 2 Hydras immediately. The rally's really not working out too well for him. And that Kagrant is not going to finish. It's not even going to be canceled. Suddenly, things are very, very bad here for Arbuz, and it's all off the back of pretty smart movement on the army rotations there. We got Lakis coming and more Quas as well. Like, you'd think, oh, I'm going to pincer him with this attack. And wait, he might be the one who's getting pincered. Force targeting that Iliektoeatgrass is pretty nifty. He can now go after the workers, but he wants to finish the front line. And actually, he turns away at the last second to try to break down some of the Hydras. A little bit of a miss micro there on that front. But at the very least, his Lakis are in some kind of position to do something. Needs to borrow them. Needs to do it like 10 seconds ago, really, but it looks like he's just going to give them up, and this is going from bad to worse. There's a chance for Grass Eater to just straight up end the game if he microed super well in that little exchange. Unlikely, but a possibility, and now he's got a sad face about it because, yeah, he really should have just had some kills there with the Lakis. So he starts with 4 and leaves with 1, and he gets 0 kills in the process. He might just get bowled over here very, very quickly, and it might be a very, very ugly situation. We'll see how it goes. I did say I think that this game should go about 10 minutes, but maybe it'll be a little bit of a shorter one after all. Expanding a little bit late, not able to get much of a punish there. They did trade down military, both of them, but look at the economy, man. Grass Eater has such a worse economy. And if this is anything like Game 1, we know how it ends. Might take a little bit, but we know how it ends. dancing around the extremity of all of these Lake-Iz's effective ranges. Arbuz does have an Ovileth in transition to this position now, so theoretically he'll be able to migrate, maybe even do a little bit of an Izira core drop if he wants to. Only, yeah, he has 3 Izira cores. He could definitely do that. I love Burrow to get a little bit of health back. Big Quaz stack. And the Izira core drop can kind of ignore the static defense because they take so long to kill, and you can just kind of hold position them over here, have them kill a lot of workers. But the Ovileth is also going to be very useful for just straight up fighting against the Lake-Iz. You don't have Bactals yet for the range, but Arbuz is getting his ski-backed scab, and he will be going for that 1 o'clock third base. The same place that Grass Eater checked earlier. Nostradamus, perhaps. Some of the lake is unburrowed, but this is a very, very clumped up Arbuz army. Not ideal right about now. Arbuz still up by about 15 plus workers, it looks like, and obviously is taking his third. We got Zoryus coming out, a Hydrith Den for Grass Eater. I think it makes sense to try to get all the tier 1 stuff, at least baseline. Give yourself maximum flexibility of where to progress down. Not a lot of people going for Vornath anymore. But when your opponent isn't going Lake-Iz, I actually feel like Vornath can be pretty good ZBZ. Mostly so that you can like catch armies and like slow them down, then the Zoryus tags them, then the rest of the army speeds up. If they're going Lake-Iz, it's a little bit harder, but it's probably even still doable then. You just have to be a bit more choosy with your engagements, which necessarily puts another like execution barrier over it, if that makes sense. Some of these workers waiting to be tasked onto that Escagant, the ridge cap, freshly applied. These Skithra cores are coming for Arbuz, but only 3 of them. Not a huge committal just yet. He is going to cap all of his ridges at about the same time and get extra Vespi mining from that third base anyway. Zeth's coming in for the flank as the army leaves. A little bit of an anti-timing. A window opening up here. The mineral only is not actually staffed, and that's going to force Arbuz to cycle back, but he also catches wind of the rest of the army on the other side, and well, the problem right now is that Grass Eater had a beautiful opportunity to ignore the army, go straight into the main base, and start sowing some chaos, pulling his opponent's army very, very far out of position, and then use the bulk of his army to shut down this third base, or maybe even pressure for a kill at the natural. So, again, you know, another opportunity where Grass Eater kind of feels like he's floundering here. A surprisingly competitive series between the two players, to be sure. I would have guessed that Arbuz, considering he's taken games off of even pro players, he defeated Boneth in a weekend wages Zerg recently. Like, he's definitely a guy that you have to give some respect to, even on his off race. You'd expect him to be the heavy favorite. He's seed number 6 after all. But Grass Eater has been giving himself a good argument, a good look in the series. His Lake-Iz, though, have been a disappointment in this map, and they will continue to be. That's a thorough shellacking of his army, and he did not do nearly enough damage with those Lake-Iz. Not nearly as cost efficient as he needed to be. Zoryus coming out for the armor rend. That's going to help the Bactals temporarily, but there's just not enough units here, and the detection will continue. Not like it's even necessary with these rallies, and GG will have to be called. Grass Eater is going to be facing elimination, but hey, he won his map pick. Maybe he can win his second map pick. He's going to hold on for dear life, but let's be real. I mean, he's been down workers the whole game, down material the whole game. And we've got Hydras and Skits here to try to deal with those circuits if needed. I think there's just a little bit of cope going on here right about now. And GG is called. The last of his units die. Arbuz will move on to a 2-1 score line, and that means he threatens series point. I didn't say this earlier, but the winner of this match advances to face Shopkeeper Dog. So, let's see which one of them has the honor of likely being demolished by him. It could be Arbuz after Game 4. All right, lads, we are making it our way over to Potaa, and honestly, we're making a good show of it so far. Our players are, at the very least. ArbuzBudesh in the top left. ArbuzBudesh in the top left is rocking out as our Blood Zerg. And Grass Eater, this is your map pick. Why did you pick this map if you didn't like the Mineralis? Well, he is in the bottom right, and he seems to be Pumpkin? No, it's Tomato. Tomato Zerg. I guess the name was supposed to be the giveaway there. Yellow Flag. Event. That's Shambler, by the way. Shambler admin to the final maps of this series, I guess. I don't remember if he was the admin for Knife's Edge, but he's definitely the admin of this one. And if we need him to be the admin of Game 5, if we did need him to be the admin of the Game 5, this is going to be a situation where Rage Slave will be our decider. That's pretty cool. Grass Eater is going to need to take us there, though, and it's going to be early pools for both players. A little bit faster for Arbuz. Not an all-in or a cheese or anything from either side, so that means that we have a little bit of time here in the early game. This is also the map with like the largest rush distance in the Class 1 pool right now. Or in the... Maybe that's not true in all of Class 1, but I think it is. It's definitely the longest in the map, like in the actual map pool for this event, so... That is for real. For sure. As a little bit of a reminder, I guess I can tell you guys about the bans, because Crisis Vector was banned by Arbuz, who helpfully did that because Weekend Wage was played predominantly on Crisis Vector, and he's like, I won't traumatize Prinigo any further. I would have been fine to see Crisis Vector between these two players, in different context and stuff, but it was funny to see that. Mass Destruction was banned by Grass Eater, which is kind of interesting. Punch Drunk being vetoed by Arbuz second round, and Paradise vetoed by Grass Eater second round. So only 3-spawn and 2-spawn maps remained by that point, I do believe. There might have been one other map that they were able to pick from. I can go ahead and take a look real quick at the other map that I'm missing, I'm forgetting about. I'm trying to remember. What would it have been? Oh, it's Battle Spectre, of course. Battle Spectre. What a cool map. Technically a 2-spawn map, but you have 4 different spawns that you can have. 2 different spawn configurations. Yeah, that sort of thing. All right. We've got the Quaz split up over here for Grass Eater. He's going to try to riposte this Zeth-based attack. And I don't know why he's sending Zeths to the far corners. Is that deliberate, or does he think this is a 4-spawn map? Who knows? It had 2 in the map file name. Great micro from him, though, on the stutter step, and Arbuz not able to connect the dots. Gonna have to struggle to move past over towards the mineral line. Not able to get any purchase towards the Droleth. He's kind of just slowing down the development a little bit, but, you know, not ideal. Gets a full scout off, sees that it's a Hydrath Den. Arbuz himself is going to be going for the Zorkiz follow-up, his own defensive Circuit, wise to the tricks, burrow by the hatch placement that is going to be required for Grass Eater's natural. Well, 5 Hydras pretty early on. One thing about Den versus Shroud after a pool opener, the Den player is going to scale much faster, but they have less technical power on their units. It's a good way to think about it. Oh, tiny little bitty tile. Just a little bit. Just a small one. Arbuz is going to be planning on dropping the hatch in the natural. Yeah, I thought so based on what Grass did with his Zeths. He couldn't believe it. Well, 7 Hydras can start moving across the map if that's what he wants. And it's only up against Quaz right now, but the Lakers will be ready in time. Remember, this is a long rush distance map, so it's a little bit harder for Grass Eater to connect across the entirety of this map. Still, he might be able to do something with those Hydras. Maybe try to pressure the hatch, snipe the Lakers as they're coming through. Hydras are pretty mobile units, after all. And it doesn't look like Arbuz is going to be taking a sort of advanced position with the Lakers, which is going to make this a lot easier for Grass Eater. I would have liked to see a proactive Avaleth just because he scouted the... Oh, he didn't scout the Shroud. That's right. I don't think so, anyway. Now he's going to try to make some connections onto this hatch, see what else he can do. He shouldn't force a cancel. Arbuz should just go for this, but it's already down to below half HP. You can see him focusing down, or trying to focus down the Lakers. He drops the 3 Quaz initially. I'd love for him to stay active in here, but he might be a little bit timid. 2 more Hydras have made their way up as well. Yeah, it just really feels like Grass Eater should be able to make something happen here. Dodging with the Hydras. Still very much in good health. This advanced position is going to be a lot harder to micro against as more and more Lakers come down the ramp as well. Doesn't make it any easier. I love the little concave set up here, though. We should try to maybe focus down that Zoryus just to make it a little bit easier on him in the future. Yeah, first casualty starting to be faced by these poor Hydras, but they do pop a single Lakers. 4 remain. Arbuz mostly making workers right now. Needs to cycle back to his natural and get things going. Oh, I will also say Arbuz did play this quite late his time, so... If he's a little bit sleepy, maybe that has something to do with it. Just letting you guys know. Sometimes it's nice to have the color of the match, you know, like the conditions going on. It was obviously not streamed. We're casting it from replays, adminned by a Shambler earlier. Now that Zorius is dead. Definitely dead. And the fact that the Quas absorbed the attack also doesn't really help. Now that's going to be a very difficult fight to take. He's going to lose a couple of Hydras for that, but he still ends up making the pick, and they're spread a little bit too wide to help each other. Hold on. Arbuz might end up taking a lot more off than he thought there. Mass hatch in the main or in the natural. He's got more Lakes coming. There's not really that much here for Grass Eater to contend with necessarily. Some of his Hydras rather, are very, very wounded. You can see the Micro coming in as Iziricors have also joined the fray. That pop goes the Lakes. Workers are going to have to get involved as the circuit falls. Do we have any more reinforcements coming? It looks like just a few Hydras for Grass Eater, but this looks very dire indeed. Oh, they're hatching at the natural. That's both good and bad. Look at the clump up here. Grass Eater not splitting. Needs to cycle away from those Lakes and maybe get his reinforcements in on the action. More units being made. It's all Droleth. Got a lot of Quas that just hatched. But that's a much more spread sort of situation, and the Lakes will be overwhelmed, surely. Only the one Iziricor will be dealt with, and that's really good damage that Grass Eater did. But, you know, his natural's only now seeing some development. So Arbuz has had more money for longer. It's probably even enough, especially since he reinvested into Droleth in the middle of that. Unless Grass Eater can actually bust, which I suppose might be a distant possibility. His Iziricor is low. 4 Hydras only. It's pure Quas that he's up against, but the Lakes are hatching on location. So that's going to make it very difficult. Zethicor spying. Many more Iziricors on the way. That's going to help things out a little bit. I want to say he needs more Hydras as well, though. I guess Iziricors in enough number before you get to a critical mass of Lakes. It's going to be all right. The Zeth drop in the main is pretty dirty, but it's already preempted by some Quas movement. The Circuit as well. At best, he can just right-click onto the Larvosk, but even then, the surface area is limited. Oh, Arbuz trying to sneak out, and Grass Eater obliges. He should not chase this army across the map. That feels like a bad decision. Now here we go. Sniping the Larvosk. Actually should be pretty easy at the end of the day. Even full kills the Kagrant. It's going to be a little bit harder for Arbuz to do much about that. He goes for a hatch instead. Now here comes the attack from Grass Eater. How soon does he turn away? I think the answer is soon, but one of the Lakes is dead. Can the Hydras do enough on everything else? The Iziricors are cleaning up versus all the pool units, but the Lakes damage is a little bit too much. Zeth's now moving in for a counterattack. We got Mass Hydra. Not really anything to worry about for Grass Eater on the offensive, because Hydras will beat this low number of Lakes and the Circuit combined. It's Iziricors at the main. Oh, that's beautiful. Grass Eater's riposted the pool attack completely just based on his natural unit timings. It sounds crazy, but 6 Hydras could actually finish the job here and continue to have Arbuz feel like he's bleeding out. He's going for the Ulgorg. Obviously, the first thought is Ultracore, but Gorgacore would be pretty good here, too. They're pretty tanky units ever since their induction into the sort of mid-table, requiring that advancement on the structure. It'll be some time before the Ulgorg is finished. The fact that he doesn't have any Quas is really surprising to me. Arbuz wants to go for the Zeths instead. Maybe see if he can continue the sneak out. He can draw some of the Iziricors in, but who is that bad for, really? He's still hemorrhaging Zeths. I love that Grass Eater just doesn't even bother. He's like, yeah, I'm busy. I'm not going to micro that. Third base is very far away on this map. You could go for this one, but it's open to multiple attacks. This one, I guess, also open to multiple attacks, but you need a very active army or some kind of containment. Grass Eater at least has the latter. Ulgorg is going to finish soon. That does put a timer on what Grass Eater wants to do, as the Zorius are already out, and there's enough bank to make a lot of Ultracores. Iziricors are going to be seeing if they can push forward. Mass Hydra, mass Hydra, and they will be able to pop those Lakes, but how many casualties are they going to incur on the process? One more Lake is still up there at the top. Oh, it softens up so many of them. The Ultracores get canceled, or maybe they never started. And I think maybe there's just narrowly enough here for Grass Eater to finish the job. The Zorius weren't actually involved in that fight. Had they been, it would have been a different story. The one Ultracore might finish. 10 Gorgacores on the way. I can't believe it. He's going to dive forward and go after that Circuit. It'll pop pretty immediately. Is the Ultra Core going to get focused down in the... No, it's not quite. But I think this number of Hydras can still maybe do a little bit. No, not when it starts eating corpses, though. Oh, yeah. This is going to be pretty hard to deal with. He went after an Izira Core. That's not going to be quite as helpful. Now, 2 of the Gorga Cores did get killed in the egg. But here come the sort of Redux. With 7 Gorgs left alive, it does feel like that's a lot for Grass Eater to deal with. But he does have Skiths. He does have Izira Cores. He can try to combine to deal with that. Yeah, that's a little bit too much. I think, honestly, I really thought Arbuz might have been able to riposte with that assault, but he's going to look back at his Gorgs in a second and see that they're all dead. He's trying to set up the defense, but the Skits are out to try to pressure with anti-air. Very limited anti-air at that, just Quaz right about now. I think this might actually be game. The Obeleth seems like it was killed earlier or shown away. So you had to stand onto the Lakeids to reveal them, which is a lot harder than it looks when there's so many of them. But you have no answer to the air. He's trying to make enough Quaz to make it happen. It's a desperate bid for survival. Arbuz is going to go ahead and burrow his workers at the natural. And more Skits are arriving. Oh, Grass Eater fumbling on the micro a little bit. If only he had an Ovileth. He has to remake it. 11 Droleth heading over to that bottom left. That 7 o'clock base. One more Skith coming. At any point, that Zethar could have been activated. 2 Lake is out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't think Arbuz does either. They're softened up. Five more Skits hatching. More Ultra Cores on the way. 12 pairs of Quaz necessary for the anti-air for sure. Well, I guess these Lakers will actually get a shutdown on this base. This is kind of hilarious. I don't know why they were allowed to do that. Amazing. Well, the Skits are going to come in force. There's 13 of them over here. A couple of them end up falling, but this is enough to kill a Spraith. Be not afraid. Third base is shut down, but the main is shut down for Arbuz. He's lost so many workers. Grass Eater almost has double them, and he's got so many more Skits coming. What a weird, weird game. And now he's just going to stand on top of all the Quaz and see how much damage he can dish out. I think it's going to be a little bit too much there. Don't lose the hatch to 2 Lakers, please. Ovileth on the way. Skits will clean that. Okay. Calcure Lake coming. Lyrilisks will help out quite a bit. If you can get enough of them. Damn. Arbuz has some tech units, but it's not the most tricked out army. Certainly not the largest army. Technically has more units, more military units than Grass Eater, but yeah, I guess they're weirdly more even than I thought they would be. It's such a weird dynamic. Droleth gets clobbered by the Izira Cores. Can't take a third base. Some Zeths guarding the other one that's commonly taken. Yeah, these Zeths aren't going to get much of anything done. It looks like Arbuz wants to move forward. But there is an Ovileth to help with the Lakers. And the Skits aren't so far away. Yeah, there's the stack. 15 of them. And, I mean, you can't ever kill the Ultra Cores. I guess Hydras are coming in to try to help with that, but the Skits are good. They wipe out everything in this back line. Lake is included. And with more and more coming, there's just not enough to hold, not enough defense. Can't hold the ground, can't hold the air. Grass Eater doesn't realize he's being killed by a single Lakis, but that's okay. He doesn't need to realize. Man has 23 Skits and Lakis can't shoot up. He's desperately trying to make enough Lyrilisks to hold off the air stack. It's a possibility that he can do that. Grass Eater would have to make another mistake by, not activating his Killer Instinct mode. He could just swoop in here and basically end Arbuz's reign immediately. Oh, he's stacking up. There's only 4 liras. That is a winnable fight. Instead, he's going to cycle away. Yeah, I feel he could just take this fight. Look, he's got 33. Yeah, he's kind of like deliberately allowing them to spread out now, and then he's going to move in. That's what it seems like to me. Oh, he collapsed the formation a little bit, but he should. This is good enough. He should just go. Only a few liras are actually here. So this is not going to end well for Arbuz. You do not have enough firepower to bring down an air stack of that size. And as soon as the last of the Spraiths falls, GG accompanies it. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to Game 5. We're going to Rage Slave. Shambler having to put in quintuple shift there. Let's see what happens in our decider. 2-2. Grass Eater in the mid-right here is our... I don't know what this color is. Is it Goldenrod again? It is. It looked like a weirder color. Goldenrod Zerg, and Arbuz in the bottom left is our Blood Zerg. So we've seen both of these colors before. We're on a Rage Slave, 3-spawn map. Arbuz has won all of his own map picks, and he did pick the decider, so I guess we are just going to go ahead and assume that Grass Eater is doomed, but maybe he can make us believe. It's kind of funny. Some of the games have, like, the one player was really disadvantaged for a long time, held on, and actually almost maybe made a mini comeback. That was Game 1 and Game 4. And to a little bit of an extent, you know, Grass Eater held on a little bit stubbornly in Game 3, but he had some real looks into that one as well. I don't know. There's something about it. I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, damn. Well, it's going to be a Hydrith first for Arbuz, and Grass Eater is going to open pool. Feels like right about now, we are going to see a bit more Larvosk play in general from Grass Eater. He does like himself the extra Larvosk, whereas Arbuz has been showing the way of the Hydra, or the Hatch, rather. The Hatch, macro hatches. Very good. Very cool stuff, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. It's nice when something that doesn't happen a lot happens a lot. That's basically what I'll say. Oh, and I'll take this opportunity to remind you guys, we are looking for entrance into this Sunday's Weekend Wage. We are back-to-back weekends doing it because I'm going on vacation for when we would normally do it. So we'll have to catch you then. Definitely check us out there on the Discord server. You can find it under the Tournaments channel. It's a thread for the sign-up. Anybody can sign up. You don't have to be a certain rank, or you don't have to even have played the game before. And you might just be really good. You might have just watched enough casts to be really good. So I look forward to seeing as many people as possible there. Come one, come all. And I will cast the games in part or in full during a stream on the day of. It'll be a glorious time. It is going to be a double Larvosk here for Grass Eater. Before any additional tech. Going to give him a lot of units, a lot of workers in particular. Using his Zeths to scout around and see what's going on. His Quas will guard against this Hydra. Good reaction there from Arbuz. Hydrith Den is going to be the follow-up here. And does Arbuz want to try to end the game early on? With the Izira Core, he might be able to apply a little bit of pressure, force a little bit more units, a little bit less workers. He doesn't know that the double Larvosk is here just yet. Coming down to essentially a best of one between these two players, it's pretty deadly, in theory. There's the hatch, much earlier for Arbuz than Grass Eater can really hope to achieve right now. And he's got more Quas where that came from. I think 8 Quas can beat this, but let's see if the Izira Core can change my mind about it. And particularly when it's up against 4 Quas to start, it's a lot easier. You can see how fast it falls. Now, I do like what Grass Eater just did there, trying to target down that Hydra. He's only got 2 pairs of Zeths coming. He's got no other units. He's waiting for his Hydra then to hatch. And I think he needs to be a little bit more judicious than that. He also does not need to pull the workers here. That is not it. All right. 5 Hydras on the way. That hasn't lost any workers just yet. But again, it is coming down to, like, you know, forcing your opponent to build... Ooh, popped. Forcing your opponent to build a bit more military than they want to, a bit less workers than they want to. That's the name of the game versus Zerg. Even when you yourself are Zerg. Finding those cost-efficient moves can be very good. The Zeths reveal the army at the front door. The Hydras can get activated and pounce onto the Izira Core. Down it goes in one more hit. And I guess Grass Eater wanted to be nice. Could have just attack moved. This Hydra amount is actually pretty scary. Arbuz, what do you have at home? He's got enough Hydras on his own. Only ends up losing a Hydra and an Izirkor on the way. Oh, no. He's actually lost a lot more than I thought. Circuit is going to be very delayed here. 4 Izirkors on the follow-up for Grass. Meanwhile, only 3 Hydras in production and the ski-backed. This is a 6 Hydra hold versus an 8 Hydra and 1 Quaz attack. Quaz unlikely to be too useful. Halfway done is the Circuit. That's going to be the first target, and Arbuz needs to leap on the opportunity. He absolutely needs to focus down the enemy Hydras. He's got more hatching behind it. I think he's going to hold just fine, so this is all right there. And he's going to have to cycle back a little bit. Wasn't able to cancel the in-morph Circuit to get his Droleth back. That would have been a slight little flourish. That would have given him a bit of an advantage. And once again, we got to look at that worker count. You know, Grass Eater has been unsuccessful in supplanting Arbuz in this early game. The worker count has been a big problem for him. He's going to go ahead and take his expansion now. Feels a little bit lackluster in that department, and Arbuz is just cycling through with all of his extra larvae set to Droleth right now. More than doubling the worker count of his opponent. Still plenty of Hydras here for Grass Eater. So these like jockeying back and forth. It's actually better for Arbuz because he has slightly more larvae and he's got the extra economy from that natural that's much faster. So it's better for him that he's like forcing his opponent to stay interested in the military game. He's got the Circuits here. Not as many Hydras as his opponent, but it's really hard to break that kind of entrenched position, and the Droleths are going to go ahead and get back to mining. Or perhaps start mining if they didn't get any starting at all. Grass Eater adding some Zeths. Just wants to be able to scout around and stuff. The back Belisks are coming. Arbuz making a lot of Hydras alongside it. It doesn't feel like Grass Eater is ready for that. Nor does it really feel like he can get ready for that. He can try to put down some static defense, but going to be some time before he'll have anything resembling Arbuz's army in terms of size, so it would have to be a pretty colossal mistake, it feels like, for Arbuz to throw away the military part. Advantage him for sure. Getting those Bactyls, getting way more Hydras. He's going to have a much bigger army than Grass Eater is. All Grass Eater will be able to say is that he caught back up on the economy. Losing his Izirkors is not an ideal situation. Looks like a couple of Hydras will be going down on the way out. And the Zeth for good measure. See you, nerd. And now, only now is he starting the static defense? Arbuz might just roll him over here. This could be the back and forth tug of war that results in Arbuz moving forward in the tournament. Remember, this is a single elimination bracket. Kind of brutal, but it is best of 5. Grass Eater. He took 2 games off of Arbuz already. He was really looking to take that third. And his Hydras are just going to get routed. He has no units there, as Zeth was unable to start the mineral only, or stop the mineral only from starting. And the Circuits will finish, but the Hydras are already right on top. The Bactyls might be reduced in efficacy, but there's enough Hydras from Arbuz here to clear him out. He had so much money in the bank. Really, both players did, but Grass Eater just doesn't have enough tools. Concluded the Hydra Wars have. ArbuzBudesh will be able to make it in. And Grass Eater will be, he'll need to watch the replays. Shambler being Shambler. I can't believe it. Well, we're just going to go ahead and just speed through that. GG. We are going to be able to say that Sir Arbuz has won the day. It was a lot of a much bloodier situation than we thought it would be. You know, he's a lot more bruised. It's like when you're playing a game like a Dark Souls type game or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, there's that trash mob that I always defeat, and then they like somehow sucker punch you and you make you burn through all your Estus flasks. Yeah, that's basically what just happened to Arbuz. So he's going to be struggling a little bit. He's going to need to find a bit better form when he goes up against Shopkeeper Dog later on in the tournament. So I will see you guys for that at some point soon. But remember, we got another opener to get through first. It's going to be cannoli versus sausage. And then, of course, there's technically opener number 1, but the third opener that will be played is going to be Dogliv versus Han Mono. I'll see you guys then for those matchups. GG.